Are you kidding me? Like, let's go.
Now tell me more. I want to hear more, Matt.
Tell me more, Matt.
About what? My topic for the day?
Your view on politics, religion.
Oh, and I have something
sensitive
really good.
issues of
something really good. I didn't get to tell you before we hit record, so remind me after this.
No, tell me more, Joel.
No, it's really good. So no, we're not going to talk about it right now.
People want to hear it.
It's after dark. It's like a safe zone, right?
Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark, your safe space for practical shooting discussion. Here with the boys on deck. We've coming at you from Washington, Mr. Kim.
Hello.
From Kansas, Mr. Hopkins.
Missouri.
I thought you were Kansas City, Kansas, man. I thought you moved over to Kansas
City, Missouri.
That's a bummer. These are these not so subtle jabs you can throw at people, Joel, to try to annoy them.
Like the state flag for Texas?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can use the state flag of Chile. Nobody do this if you're listening. Do not email shopping@bensteggerproshop.com something with the flag of Chile and say don't mess with Texas.
I'm actually putting an order in tonight, and I'm going to do that.
You get real sensitive about that shit. I actually just messing around. Like, you know, people in Texas are like obsessed with the Alamo. Like it's like a yearly thing that they talk about in school for like a month every year or something, apparently, which would make sense. There's something on Instagram. I was doing that to mess with the pro shop guys. I was like, oh, what's the Alamo? What's that all about? I mean, maybe somebody told me, but I forgot about it because they were posting like, remember the Alamo stuff. And some Texan got on there and like filled me in on what the Alamo was, like non-ironically explained it to me. I was like, holy shit, you guys.
I know it's a historical thing, but I honestly couldn't tell you like what happened or what was the repercussions of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
no,
honestly, what does it matter?
Well, Billy Bob was in a lukewarm movie about it, so you can just watch the feature film and you'll love it. You won't love it; it's not very good. You want to know the name of this film to watch?
No, I do not.
Is it called The Alamo?
It might be. I think it is.
I'm not gonna watch it. There's no point in telling me.
You don't want to watch like a 15-year-old.
There's nothing that would make me watch that right now.
Mid-grade 15-year-old movie of no historical significance to you.
No way it's 15 years old. It's way more than that.
The Alamo? It came out in 2004, and it's called The Alamo. And it was starring Billy Bob's my favorite, but don't forget Dennis Quaid, Jason Patrick, and this was at the end of his relevance, I would say. Patrick Wilson.
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Never mind. Nothing.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys, let's get into it. You know the rules. Everybody comes here with a topic. Matt, I think you got something pretty spicy you wanted to talk about.
Not really. I was just going to talk about this week in shooting, and
you have nothing remotely spicy you want to talk about.
No.
Very
disappointing. I thought we were going to do one later, but.
Well, I'll propose one. There's a pretty good one.
No, I got one. Let me finish.
Right.
So I was going to talk about this week in shooting, and I'm pretty sure all of us, I don't know about Kim, but we all shot a local match this past weekend, right?
I shot 2 of them, yeah.
Oh, shit. Joel's an overachiever here. Kim, did you shoot?
No, there's nothing going on in Washington State. No matches.
Why not?
The governor is doing weird 3 phases homestay relief kind of thing.
Yeah, so you'll be shooting a match probably in
November
2022 or
yeah.
Hopefully.
The government, they're keeping you home to keep you safe because they're worried about you.
So I just wanted to kind of get everybody's opinion on getting back to shooting local matches and Ben, actually shooting one since when?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't shoot a match this weekend.
Hold on, you said you were gonna.
I was going to. I was trained. You believe it? I trained all week. Seriously. I trained all week. Not. I did. I was training hard. I shot hard. Shooting, dry fire. I was training all week. Lots of different stuff I was doing, but it rained. It rained on match day.
It rained, so you didn't go.
No, I mean, I'm not super annoyed by inclement weather. And I took one look at the radar track when I got.
Yeah,
I got him. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna I would go, but no. It's at 50 degrees and rainy as hell. It's It'd be a day that I'm not. It would be a day that I would be dreading if I was getting paid. You know what I mean? It would be like, today is going to suck nuts. And I'm just going to like put on a smile and deal with it. It was like one of those days, but it was like I can't even imagine who went.
We got that later the day than you did. Yeah, it was raining sideways and it was super windy. It was awful. Luckily, I was already home by then. But.
I didn't get any of that, and I had shot a local match, and then I went and practiced on Sunday. And
okay,
I'm just happy.
Just so we're clear, Matt, half of the people registered for the match. As I'm looking at the results here, half of them didn't show.
Okay, I'm not saying nothing. It's practical shooting. It's not fair weather shooting.
No, it's fair weather shooting for me. Are you kidding me? Fuck.
Just saying.
I do this shit for fun. I don't know why you guys are here.
It's not USFWSA.
No, that's just an initiative from me. All right, go ahead, Matt.
I'm just happy we're back to shooting. Local matches are happening. People are getting out. And the season is actually starting now. That's this weekend shooting for me.
What were things like at your club, Matt? Where I'm guessing everybody was happy to get out?
Everybody was happy. I think there was a higher turnout than normally at that club. Just because nothing's been open locally around there for like 2 months. So more turnout. People came from farther away than normal. I'm liking the dot. I posted a video up. I'm digging dry fire. It's helping a lot. And I noticed something on steel where, like, I'm actually getting target focus now without even thinking about it. And shooting the steel at target focus with the dot was very fun and interesting. Like, there were 4 little square plates in a row, and just shooting that array was awesome. Like, it's something I've not experienced yet. It was fun.
Nice.
Not so controversial, but I'm done now.
What safety precautions were you noticing taken at your club to make sure that you don't catch the Rona?
None.
Interesting.
Well, I'll add a little bit over none.
No, that would be my expectation.
It was not in a county with a metropolitan city, so there were no.
I don't give a shit.
Okay,
like,
there were none.
Like no squad limits, none of that.
No, I think we had 13, and we had a roving RO with us.
Okay.
So the only precaution I could say that would happen was the scorekeeper scored the whole time, and we rotated ROs. But that's just because that scorekeeper never shoots, and he just does scorekeeping.
Yeah, okay. I shot a match that was limited to 10 people on the facility a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yes. So USPSA match. Don't bring anybody with you because no guests allowed because it's just, we can only have 10 people and there's 10 slots open for the match when you register. That's it for the match. And that was interesting as well.
And you got in?
Yes.
Did you have to do something special?
No, I just registered for the match.
Okay.
We are doing 10-person cap squads also.
Are you accusing me of shenanigans, sir?
Yes.
How dare you? Yeah, I think I could see there being squad caps. That would be a safety precaution that wouldn't be very annoying. So,
What does it do?
Well, for us, it's
not like you're in a bus.
Who are we doing this for, and what are we expected to do, Matt?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, a 10-person squad cap might satisfy some state requirement in somebody's state or something.
I've never seen a bigger group of fucking pussies that are supposedly all about anti-government. Government can't tell me nothing to do, but they're hiding as soon as they fucking get some. Government's like 10 people can't have them. Can't have more than 10 people in a group.
I don't think that's what that's what this is about for any of us. Like, for example, I am careful not to shake someone's hand when I meet them now.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
But it's not because of safety. It's just like I want them to be like feel safe if they don't, and I don't want some Karen looking at me like, oh, you guys are shaking hands or like to offend somebody else. So I just I try to play nice on some level. So some states might have a restriction against having groups of more than 10. So if you're like, oh, okay, there's no more than 10 people on a squad, so we're in groups of 10 or less. So I guess we're good. And then if that's a problem for you in your state, like Mr. Kim might be dealing with this for a while, then it gives them a better argument to, let the match go on, because there's just a lot of nervous people. Not necessarily nervous about getting sick, but like nervous about getting in trouble.
Or like where I'm at, Matt, like people call the sheriff or call the police for the city and will say there's a gathering of so many people here, and they like send an officer out to check it or see if they're going to cite people, like the whistleblowers.
They can actually cite you.
I don't know that anybody's actually getting cited, but there's whistleblowers calling, for somebody from, sheriff, police department.
Nobody can get cited in my state. Like our state Supreme Court slapped that shit down.
Yeah, they basically said open everything up to you guys.
They sure did.
Yeah.
They didn't basically say that. Like it was like, nope, no, none of this stuff's enforced. So I don't know. Like it's not for us. It's so it looks right for other people. You know what I mean, Matt?
I stick with my previous comment. I've never seen a
bigger bunch of fucking pussies.
Yeah, that are supposedly like anti-government and anti-establishment that bowed down so fast to whatever the government said.
Are you working from home now, Matt?
I have to. My work makes me. So fuck off.
I think what
I can't drive in and just sit in the parking lot.
No,
That's stupid.
I think the problem right now is not so much government. It's just people are kind of working it out and people are getting comfortable with stuff. And like, I'm on the same page as you, like as far as what I'm comfortable with, but not everybody else is. And that'll change. Hopefully things will get better and, very few people will get sick. That'd be great. So we'll see. All right, Joel, what do you got?
I'm going to talk about this week in shooting also. I tried something new. I shot a 3-gun match in 2-gun division, so it was really fun. I followed my own advice for what I tell people when they want to try USPSA. I turned up to the match with the equipment I already owned. I didn't buy anything until I found out what the match was like and what would be required of me. Left all my gear in the car until I got out and check out the rules. Like, hey, where do I handle my guns? Where's the safe area? Like, where do I load magazines? With my homeboy Kenny, I guess you guys would know, but we walked the stage. We found what we thought were the best ways to shoot the stage, and then we asked if we had questions. Like, hey, where's the safe angle? And they had one stage that took 2 bays, so like inside of a bay, and then you run out around it to go to the other bay, or like one where I wanted to, like, hey, can I ground my handgun here and then pick it back up after I engage with the rifles? Like, no, you can't do that. Okay, and so anyway, it was just. The stages were, vary based on who designed them, but there were a few that required accurate shooting, a few that were lower difficulty with some really fast shooting. So I had a really fun time. I plan to go again. Now that I know more, I expect to have more fun the next match I go to because I'll be more prepared. But I was just kind of thinking about it on the way home. It was really fun to maybe not necessarily be the new guy, but to try something new, something I hadn't done before. So I really enjoyed it.
Did you have to shoot both guns in every single stage?
You have to. It was 3 target. Was it 3 targets? I think that you had to be required to shoot with each gun. So I shot 2 guns, rifle and handgun. So I had to shoot at least 3 targets with each gun, and then obviously steel you can only shoot with a handgun or a shotgun.
So you'll be doing this more, I think.
Yeah.
And what will you be changing as far as your equipment? Like, so what did you learn that you must buy? I guess would be the question.
Well, I just used 30-round magazines, loaded 28 rounds. That makes sense. Well, they had one stage where you stood in one spot and you smacked 30 targets. So I'm like, well, need to get at least a 40-round magazine or a 60-round whatever. Like, okay, bigger magazine.
30 targets with 2 shots each?
No, it's 15 targets with 2 shots each.
Oh, without exaggeration, it was literally 30 rounds.
It was 30 rounds for one position, yeah. So if you didn't miss,
dynamic and interesting.
That stage was not my favorite, but whatever. Like, hey, I'll buy 2 40-round magazines, and that way, if I need them in the future, I've got them. No big deal.
Fair enough.
Ben, we talked about this privately. I used a practical rifle, so a 16-inch rifle with I got a Geisley trigger in it, but other than that, a red dot, and a light on it. It's like an actual a duty or.
So you're using the same one I used, the
yes.
510C. So not just
no, I've got an EOTech on that one, but
but you don't
same
have
reticle.
Yeah, you have the 65 mil ring with the
a 1 minute dot.
Yeah, and the hash at the bottom
Yep.
for the close range eyeball shots.
Yep.
Well, then you're all set.
So there was.
So apparently not, though. Probably guess.
No, there's some shooting at 200 and 300 yards, which
plates.
Yes, 12-inch, 10 or 12-inch plates. And then when you hit them, they have like a little like a light that flashes next to them to indicate that you hit them. So I mean, yeah, I hit them, but it was obviously not one shot to one hit. So an LPVO is probably the ticket, like if you want to win at that game, to use the equipment they're using for those types of stages.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, for anything else inside 50 yards, I mean, I had an overall stage win for all divisions where it was like very fast shooting, and like the EOTech was fine for that. So having like a little bit of like specialty gear for like those once in a while situations, like just being prepared for next time.
Sounds pretty
good.
That
was a time plus score too.
Yes, correct. So it's 1 alpha or 2 anywhere on the target.
Nice.
Did you notice anything that transitioned over besides pistol shooting?
Honestly, it felt like a USPSA stage, just with a little bit different rules. But otherwise, I mean, a lot of it really carries over. So stage planning, whereas you have more than one gun. So it's, hey, what's the fastest way to get to these targets? Which rifle or handgun, for my case, what would be the best tool to use on that job? But otherwise, the stages, I mean, they had a couple where it was like a shooting area with targets scattered all over the place. It's kind of imagine a U shape where you're going to have to go to all the spots, basically. So, like, hey, what do you think the fastest way is? Do you want to shoot targets coming in, backing out, that kind of thing? They had a spinner that I've never seen before. I don't know if you've seen, where it's got like a circle, like a plate on the top and the bottom, and you have to shoot it and make it spin, basically like make a revolution. So that was something different.
With the handgun?
Yep, have to, because I couldn't use a rifle.
How was it?
I asked people before me. I'm like, what do I do? Straight up, I was squatted with like the veteran group. They had not seen anybody shoot it with a handgun before. I'm like, oh, great. Because they just use a shotgun, and it's like, wham, 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 and the thing just starts spinning in circles. I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to happen for me. So Kenny was up right before me in the stack, luckily. It's like, yep, you shoot it a couple times in the top to get it kind of coming forward. And basically, anytime it's going away from you, you shoot it. So I reloaded the gun. I was shooting my Glock 17. So I reloaded the gun before I got to that. And then I just started shooting. Whichever one was going away from me, I would shoot. So I'd shoot the top a couple times. It would kind of rock. And then as the bottom half was going back, I would just grip
How
the gun
many
very
magazines
hard.
did it take to get that done?
Only one. I should have counted. Probably 12 shots, something like that. As it was going away, I just started shooting pedo splits, like holding the gun very, very hard. And then I think 2 passes of that, and I got it to spin. So,
well, that's good. So I'm sure that impressed everybody.
I don't think they'd seen that done before. So, yeah.
Amazing, Joel.
Anyway, it was really fun. It was just try something new, and I enjoyed it.
I think my topic connects with yours a little bit.
You shooting PCC now.
Okay, so I've gotten this question a couple of times. Probably like 5 people asked me this question, something related. So basically the question was, hey, the virus going on. In my country, there's no match. The range is not open. How can I stay motivated? And I gave them very similar answer to all of them, but 2 was basically overlapping answer for everybody. The first one is actually watching very good shooters, like world champion type shooters. Even like some Steel Challenge, any related skill in that sport, then I recommended them to watch the top level sport athletes. So of course, IPSC, USPSA, watch world champions, and then try to follow like what they do, but you can't do them. For example, shooting on the move or shooting a swinger in one pass kind of thing. So challenge yourself, something that you can't do, but top shooters can do. And those can be pretty challenging, but pretty fun to discover and gather new knowledge. So get yourself motivated by watching top athletes. And then the second one was actually toying around. So I did it for myself too. When the thing started in April, there was no match for months. And then I wanted to keep going to the range, but I felt like, hey, if I train my division carry optics, I think I'm gonna be starting too early. I want to conserve my energy and motivation, so I started just doing some, other guns, iron sight guns, even rifles, 2-3 PCC kind of thing. So I started shooting other guns with my main gun. So it's not like I was completely stopped training with my main gun. I would shoot something like 200 to 300 rounds on a toy gun, and then shoot 200 to 300 rounds on my main gun kind of thing. And maybe even sometimes I would shoot the same drill back and forth with different gun, and then see like what kind of aspects, like how I can grip, how I'm feeling my grip, trying different things actually make me, it's like Ben talked about it a long time ago on a podcast. He mentioned about new girlfriend syndrome kind of thing. So like people who wants to buy a new gun every time and you get motivated kind of thing. Actually, I think that works in some cases. So toying around actually really helps you, even if it's not a handgun, even if it's rifle or shotgun. Like Joel shot a 2-gun match. I think it actually helps us to keep that motivation level up and interest level up. So like even if your range is completely closed, I might even recommend trying maybe computer game, Call of Duty, shooting different guns in the game too. I don't know. I think they can motivate you. So I think it's just keeping the interest up is pretty important.
The gaming thing might be a little stretch to help with your shooting.
Oh, it wouldn't help with your shooting technique. It would keep your interest level up.
Have you guys ever watched a tangent? We were playing like Call of Duty, especially with the handguns. Have you ever watched how the gun recoils and you get really annoyed by seeing the way it like tracks, or like the way like when it returns, like way too much firing hand tension? You can see like the muzzle like bouncing up and down. It stops. Maybe that's just me.
Well, they had Lucas model it. What do you expect?
Throwing some mad shade there, Matt.
Matt, holy crap.
There you.
He's the king of over muscling transitions, dude. Come on.
Yes. It looks cool on the Instagram, though.
Yeah, it looks super fast.
Dude, I want to shoot.
What's important, Matt? Looking good on Instagram. It's like
I'm not gonna lie. I do want to shoot from inside a car at some point. I need to do that. Where like just like draw the gun and start like shooting targets in the windshield. I think that would be awesome.
Prepare to be underwhelmed, but yeah, you should have fun with that.
Well, I imagine it being quite loud, but I don't know. I think it'd be fun. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was going to say, what I wanted to talk about kind of lined up with what Mr. Kim was talking about. You know what I did all week where I was training very hard, Matt? And then I put a post on Facebook, like, pick my division for the match.
Yeah, I like that.
I wasn't fucking around. I really trained hard. Okay, production gun, limited gun, carry optics gun. I'm good to go with any. And I put it up there and I went just by tally. By vote tally. It's like, great, okay, the people have voted for carry optics, that's the vote. If it was anything other, if people wrote any words other than one of the 3 divisions that I chose, I just ignored them. And then I tallied the votes and I'm like, okay, I'll shoot carry optics. Like, I really did that, man. I thought that was a fun experiment because it was what Mr. Kim was suggesting. It's like, hey, just train different equipment, train different stuff. For example, what I did today was I went out and I set up a couple of classifier stages for some training group content I'm making. And I shot these couple stages just with all 3 divisions guns all in the same day. And that the reason is like, hey, I want to see what it's like to change between this gear. So I'll go from a very lightweight gun with an optic on it and then take that off, put on a heavy gun, shooting major, with weights strapped on the front of it coming out of a race holster, and see what that does to my target transitions. And spoiler alert, it's a lot fucking harder to be changing between different guns in the same day. It's very challenging, but I've been enjoying the challenge, and I'm just doing that to kind of stay motivated and see what I can learn.
I've got questions.
Tell me more.
Caliber wise, I can imagine shooting a 9mm and then a 40 feels like a cannon. Do you start with like the 40 and then the 9? Do you still switch it up recoil wise? Or you?
I switch it up, like whatever. Like that's the rules for me. Like I made the rules for myself where it's like, nope, I don't give a shit. Like randomize it and just see what happens. So you'd have all these theories in your head, like, hey, I should shoot this gun and then this gun for X, Y reason. I mean, it doesn't even really matter. And I don't allow myself to do that. I will just pick a gun and train with it for a little bit, then switch and just see what happens.
If you had to pick one thing that was the most difficult, would it be the recoil, like the weight of the gun, moving it around? I'm guessing grip and sighting system were the least like tough.
Well, shooting Tacfolio pistols are all the same grip for me. Mixing in other stuff, I mean that's an issue for sure. But it's the weight of the guns, I think, is the biggest issue that requires adjustment from training is the weight of the gun. You just have to get used to the weight, because when you're going to be swinging the gun between targets very intuitively, and you have to really have internalized the weight of the gun. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. And what I found, like for me, if I'm conscious of what I'm doing and I shoot at a consciously controlled pace, so like not all out, not going crazy, then I'm good. I'm okay with everything I've got. But if I'm going to be shooting really aggressively and trying to make it intuitive shooting, it won't work. It's kind of like you can pick up somebody else's gun and shoot it okay, but as soon as you go hard with it or like run the shit out of it, then you start to have problems. It's exactly like that.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Did you do dry training then? Like once you switched guns, did you dry train with it a little bit, or did you just like make ready and go for it?
Sometimes I changed the rules, Joel. Sometimes dry training was allowed, sometimes not. So just putting the gun on, like putting the belt on and putting the gun in it, with no dry training is dramatically different than if you do 10 dry draws. If you do 10
totally see that.
Dry draws, it is night and day, the difference. But yeah, basically I've been making life hard for myself in training and fucking myself in the ass. And it's been rough the last week, but I learned a lot.
Only doing that because of the situation in the world?
Well, no, I mean, this is just,
You would do that if nothing had changed or canceled or nothing?
Yeah, I would. I'd be okay with it because there's nothing going on at this point in the season right now anyway, so I don't really give a shit.
Okay.
If there was a big match coming up that I wanted to do well in, then I would not do that. But yeah, Matt, I'd say my focus has shifted away definitely from one gun, one thing, train it all the time, win all the matches you can, do all the shit you can. But I mean, I'm not about that anymore. Like I get that and that's good, but I'm trying to like learn a lot. And so for example, the last class I did, when I showed up there, it's like I just looked around and I selected the gun that matched what people were using the most closely. So it's like not even about what I want to shoot or what I want to do. It's just like, okay, I'll just mirror the student's equipment and shoot that gun. So that's the kind of stuff I've been kind of doing more of. And I think I've been learning a lot.
To name drop our friend Andreas, we did an interview with him for Training Group. He was shooting a CZ for a while. He switched to Glock. I'm like, why'd you do that? And he's like, well, all my students shoot a Glock, so I wanted to use what my students use. I'm like, oh, well, I can't argue with that. So that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And then you learn more too.
But to be clear, regular dude that's training up hard and wants to be good, you wouldn't give that advice to everyone. Yes.
I'm not that. What I just said was not advice at all. It's a thing that I was doing.
Yes.
Like pick one gun and practice with it. That's the important thing. And actually, the experiment I was doing for myself kind of highlighted why that's so important. For me, if I was spending, no shit, if I take a set of equipment that I haven't practiced with recently, and I've been practicing with other stuff, if I take and put that set of equipment on, there will take time until I just become proficient and I kind of know where everything is in that intuitive way and all of that. And I trust the gun. Okay, it's zeroed. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Even though I can zero the gun and put it away for a year and not touch it and pull it out again, and it still should be zeroed. There's still subconsciously you want to confirm everything and all that stuff. If you're me changing around guns right now, it's probably I'm wasting half of the practice session. Probably on some level, if I'm trying to get performance and lay down smoking runs on drills and do all this different stuff like that, I'm probably half of my time is wasted. And that number I bet would go up with the less experience and training you have. You know what I mean? Even more of your time would be just spent getting reacclimated to the gear. So for most people, switching around gear in the same practice session it's not ill-advised. It's beyond that. It's stupid, you know?
That's exactly what I was wanting you to illustrate. Yeah, where it's interesting to talk to you about, but it's not something I would tell people.
This is not advice.
Like,
I mean,
if you
really, people shouldn't be trying to model anything we're talking about at home. We talk stupid in a lot of ways.
I don't know about stupid, crazy maybe.
A little crazy. Speaking of crazy, you guys want to take a multi-part question that will give us lots of opportunity to talk crazy?
Yes.
All right. Here's a handful of questions or topics I've thought of the past few weeks. I haven't listened to every episode because I'm not a maniac, so sorry if some have been covered. Dude, I mean, you're a little weird even to listen to this at all. Okay. I've been shooting USPSA seriously for less than a year, and I'm currently C class. Sometimes I catch myself dismissing concepts that I should be training because I see them as too difficult for a shooter of my level, such as shooting on the move, hitting certain par times for draws or reloads, working on speed instead of focus on getting all the points I can. These are some things that some examples he put down. Okay. Are there really any concepts or skills I should wait until I'm A class or better to address? Or is it more important to grow each skill with my overall level? Everybody catch the question? And there's a few more that are about as interesting as this one. So we don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is a good question. What do you say, Mr. Hopkins?
So, like, the only thing I would say advance is maybe like match management and stuff like that. Like, he's got to be able to hit everything that's out there, no matter what it is or where it's at. He's got to be able to do that. But does he need to worry about, like, Kim put a post up, I think, on PSTG about when to push.
Yeah, that's
matches.
Appropriate for him to.
Absolutely, yeah. But shooting on the move, why not experiment with it? It's probably not super relevant for a C-class shooter because they have enough problem, like hitting the targets without getting penalties or extra shots, stuff like that.
I would say, well, speaking for me personally, I remember before I took my first class with Ben, actually, I'm like, shooting on the move, that's stupid. I need to hit the targets. I'm just going to stand here and shoot the targets. Well, the more I trained, I realized shooting on the move doesn't mean running at a full sprint, doing like some, super squad with an open gun where he's like, bam, at some target while you're sprinting by. Shooting on the move is also shooting as you come into a position, as you're backing out of a position. So you don't have to be sprinting at full speed, spraying at targets. So, like what separates the different skill levels in shooting, once you understand the concept, is your mastery of them. So in the end, it is just gripping the pistol properly, pressing the trigger straight back. I mean, all that stuff.
What's the advice? What are you talking about?
Continue to work on everything all the time. Don't be dismissive of like shooting on the move, for instance. You should still be working that into your training. And also analyze where you are falling down on at matches. So if you go to a match, you're like, hey, I'm too slow, or maybe you have the top guy at your club look at your shooting. Hey, you're too slow. You need to go faster. Hey, you're not hitting the targets. You need to start hitting the targets. Look for those opportunities.
So I tell people to train everything all the time. That is one thing I say. But one thing that you don't need to focus on super hard, especially if you're newer or not, like specifics of times or standards, like a lot of that stuff, you don't want to fill your head with too much of that bullshit. So an example would be like for this guy, if he's like, 1 second draw, it has to be 1 second draw. And then he works on his draw for, you know how it is. If he's like working it on for a couple months and he doesn't have the number that he wants for his draw after a couple months, it'd be like, dude, there's more to life than just the time. It's like there's other stuff to work on. So I wouldn't make him do certain standards or something. But also, still just kind of train generally. Let me give you a good way to illustrate what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I went and shot with somebody in the last couple weeks. Went and trained with them. So they just joined me for one of my training sessions. That's really what happened. This person shoots, a little bit, but they're not doing the daily dry fire. They're not training all the time. They don't do that. So when they're out training with me, they're asking questions. Hey, should I, do this with my grip, or I need to do this thing? asking about really detail-oriented little things that they should be focused on with their training. I look at the shooter, watch them shoot a little bit, and my assessment is like, they haven't shot in a while. They don't look trained. They don't look ready. So it's like, what advice do you think I gave, Joel?
Just keep training. Like, you need to be training.
Just shoot the gun right now and get comfortable. Like, I'm watching you. You're not even comfortable with what's going on. Like, you don't look confident. Just shoot the gun. And like for a guy like this, like, yeah, dude, just go training. Shoot stages or shoot like little scenarios. Do drills. Do this stuff and focus on how you feel about it. Like, do I feel comfortable with this? If he's scared of shooting on the move, you can set that up and practice and try it. It's nothing to be scared of. Or I wouldn't say like, don't do this stuff, but maybe you're going to focus on, hey, I'm going to focus on being able to hit all the targets. I'm going to make sure that there's not stuff in a match that I'm not comfortable with the idea of doing it. I'm going to make sure I'm comfortable moving up range or running around all these different directions and shooting everything. That's probably where he needs to be at. Like, I'm kind of with you. I don't really think that there's a whole lot of advanced skill sets that he would need to totally ignore, aside from stuff like when to push, like Matt was talking about, or the specifics of scoring, as far as like
deciding on a strategy based on the hit factor. Don't do that. Just shoot the targets.
Crazy. That's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy just needs to get comfortable, and that's okay. Mr. Kim, you got anything to say on this one? Otherwise, I'll kick you the next one.
I think everybody's done pretty good.
All right.
But so just one small tip would be ratio your training. So like if you do 1 hour training, ratio more minutes to the skills that's going to reward you the most at that point.
Yeah. All right. This one is for you, Mr. Kim. I know many people, myself included, disagree with changing rules based on the ease of enforcing them. However, I do think that allowing modifications to production guns is important since it makes more guns viable for competition. Glock will never produce a tricked-out version of the G34 or 17 like CZ has made the Shadow 2 as an evolution of the CZ75. While a Glock will never compete with the Shadow 2 in any category besides reliability, I believe that $30 in parts and a few hours polishing drastically reduces that gap. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I really like the new weight rule, though, 69 ounce. The number is, I think it's perfect, 69 covering every weight. Wait, is it 59? Oh, sorry.
It's 59.
It's like a number that's
better. It doesn't matter.
Not really relevant.
Okay, 69 sounds a little bit better, but the weight of the gun, of course, I think 59 ounce pretty much covers all the weight as a production gun out there.
That's not what this guy's asking about.
Yeah, but in terms of like Glock competing against heavier gun, in a minor 9mm minor power factor, I personally think there's not much like disadvantage at all. And I don't think why this person would care about people shooting CZ Shadow 2 or heavy guns, but I think actually if you have any financial difficulty, actually shooting Glock is better because you buy more ammo and practice and get better that way too.
All right, what do you think, Matt?
I'm gonna have to pass because I don't remember after hearing Kim speak.
It's a rule. It's a rule. His question has nothing to do with the weight of the guns. It's the rules.
Okay.
He's asking about where do you want to see production at in terms of what modifications are allowed or disallowed?
There's nothing that's disallowed now.
I understand. What do you want to see in terms of what's allowed and disallowed? Fuck where it's at right now.
I wanted to see the USPSA. You're gonna get me fired up, dude. This is
I'm just this guy's
asking the question. Yeah.
All right. So before they did all this change about parts and weight, I wanted USPSA to come out and say what the division was. They never did that.
2009.
Huh?
The board of directors did in 2009.
The current administration never did, so no one knows what they think it is.
They've told me. They've told you. They've made it pretty clear. I mean, are you unclear about what production is to them? I mean, being serious, are you actually unclear?
So, I don't know. What is it? Like it's a 10-round minor. Okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's actually a really good way of putting it.
With just the concept of
Yes.
like that
Yeah, I like that.
out like what the rules need to be for this. It's like they pretty much abdicated any sort of decision making on that. It's like just.
But
just
if it would have been really simple, if they would have like put
Matt,
it out.
Forget about what used to be or what happened, and forget about USPSA for right now. What do you want production to be? Just take it from there.
I don't know. There's a couple different ways. Like trigger pull limit makes a lot of sense because then you don't have to police parts inside of it. You could go like super hardcore with it and just say like kind of previous like.
No. What do you want it to be? Just tell me what you want, Matt. You don't have to. It doesn't even have to be reasonable.
I want stock looking gun shooting in the stock production division.
All right. And what modifications would you allow? What sort of?
I think if it's internal, like you can't see it from the outside, it's fair game.
Why? Why is that the rule and not something else? Just out of curiosity.
Because
forget about enforceability. Just what do you want?
I don't know. I think 10-round minor has to stay. That's like one of the legs of production.
Okay. What else?
I think stock-ish looking stuff. So there would be no through holes in the slide. There's no way you could do that. You can't paint a bunch of stuff up.
Just like focus like a laser on what you want, not what you don't want.
I want stock guns to shoot against stock guns.
Oh my God. So I think we more or less agree. I mean, we more or less agree. I should just say for me personally, like I'm not interested in like the getting the gun to the edge of reliability, fucking with the trigger. I'm just not interested. I don't give a shit about that. And I don't care about like making it like as good of a gun for competition as you can make it. I'd rather shoot like a practical, gun.
Yeah.
That's what I've always liked. I like that stuff.
Ben, can I throw this out there? You just tell me if I'm.
If you want, Joel.
Ben likes shooting and training more than he likes setting up and tinkering and modifying and putting in different parts to see how it performs. Is that fair? Like you just like the gun. But
I actually think that other stuff detracts from the actual shooting. In my view, if you allow a thing that makes the gun better for competition, you are requiring that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You are, in effect, you require it. So if you allow people to essentially do whatever they want to make the guns as effective as possible for competition, then they will do.
In the heart of, sorry.
Yeah.
The heart of production when I started, I liked was that it was a factory gun off the shelf. I didn't have a lot of money, so it was a factory gun. I bought white box from, Walmart, and that was awesome. Like, I liked that.
Yeah.
Like other people going there to compete with a gun they more or less bought off the shelf. Maybe you replaced the sights, you did some polishing, but it's basically a stock gun.
Yes, I like shooting basically a stock gun. I mean, to me, like as far as like what I would want to drive and be all about, like the idea of driving a street car, not even just street legal, but an actual car that I would drive every day and driving that very fast, like on all season tires and on factory brakes and driving that car as fast as I can. That is more exciting to me and more, like than a like car that you trailer to the track, for example. You know what I mean? I like the more practical sort of equipment and like learning how to drive it. In a shooting context, it's like I want to shoot like actual guns that actually get used for shooting. That's what I want to shoot. Like I'm not interested in some custom built gun with essentially custom made ammunition that I can't buy anywhere. Like the fuck do I want to do that? I mean, that part doesn't interest me at all. So I like shooting the stock guns. But as far as what this guy's saying, this is very reasonable. And the way it used to function in the division when I started and when Joel started, and I think when Matt started, it was you could buy the gun and then you could swap around the sights. You could like fit the gun to you in terms of grip. You could change a few other small parts with factory parts and you could do a trigger job. That's what was allowed. and that was reasonable. That was fine, and I'm cool with that. I would prefer it more stock-ish with sort of arbitrary lines drawn about what you can't do, and I will play within those rules, and I will be happy with that. I think the ultralight triggers to the point of being unreliable or dangerous or stupid. Not that I think that there's a lot of. I don't think it's really that dangerous, but they're idiocy.
You're asking for problems in a match. We have a federal primer only gun.
No, I mean it's not even a safety argument. It's like if you take, I mean, even some Glocks have this. Like people will get the triggers to where it's like 1.5 pounds of pressure to set it off, and it's right on the edge of reliability. So it's like a deep-seated federal primer, and like that, like they'll shoot their Glock that way. And like honestly, I don't give a shit about. I mean, it's like I'm not interested in doing that. I'm not interested in like making that a thing that people do in production. I mean, I don't give a shit if you do that like on your own, but like I'm not like as a competition thing. I'm not interested.
Like to illustrate, I turned up to a 3-gun match with basically a rifle somebody could put in their squad car with that's a duty configuration with like a red dot, backup iron sights, a light, a duty trigger. Yeah, like that was really fun.
Yes, and the fact that you have to go buy an LPVO just to be competitive in a match like that to you is a bummer.
I'm not gonna lie, I was like slightly disappointed.
Yeah, it's like my gun is practical as is, and like putting an LPVO on it, I would say makes it less practical for what you actually would use it for.
Yeah,
but it will make you more competitive in that match. So it's like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff to me where I'm like, oh man, that's lame.
Well, that's a perfect, like, Ben and I chatted about that this morning, where I'm like, if I want to win, I need one, but I really don't want one. I
hate to say it, but I need an LPVO. It's like, why do you hate to say it? Like, that's what you need.
So, like, I like it just the way it is. Like, it's fun to shoot. It's set up and zeroed. Like,
yes, but I'm more or less on the same page as this guy. I mean, reasonable trigger jobs, not like the stupid stuff. And as far as how those lines get drawn, it's all fuzzy. But yeah, 9mm, that stuff's cool. Okay, here we go, guys. Should USPSA as an organization be providing more content or coverage for level 2 and higher matches? If the MLB only showed the World Series every year, there would likely be much less interest in the sport than there is today. So what do you think, guys? Should USPSA as an organization be doing more for this stuff?
I like when they did the Facebook Live of the super squads, like at Nationals. Bro, I was sitting at work. I'm like, well, I can kind of like space out and multitask here on some nonsense I'm doing. Like, I'm going to watch this live because I found that super interesting. I know a lot of my friends did too. Yeah, or if you see coverage of, big matches or an insight with some, like instructor or top shooter guy, that's super interesting. So yes, I would love to see more coverage.
What do you think, Matt?
Definitely more coverage. I think it'd be good.
What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, I think they're actually stepping up. So when I first started, like USPSA barely did anything about the match footage or anything. Like there was a website that did the live stream kind of thing, and there was other YouTube channels kind of thing actually doing it for USPSA rather than USPSA trying to do it on their own. But now they're, I think, starting it, and definitely want to see more of those for sure.
They've been doing the Facebook live streaming from big events when they have staff there, right?
Yep.
That's the change you're talking about. I haven't seen any. Am I missing something? There's not other stuff, is there?
There's a lot more posts on social media, like sharing and tagging.
They share up and tag so much bullshit on social media it actually hurts their feed, but whatever.
And for sure, better website.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see less gun reviews. Hey, here's some gun, and this is how it groups. Like, I'd rather have an interview with a top guy, maybe sharing his thoughts or something he had about training, or like some little takeaway that maybe I could, bring to my training. I would find that very interesting.
Are you guys ready? I disagree with all of you. I think
Really?
USPSA as an organization, the way I read this question, it's almost like you fault them for not providing more coverage. I would say no. They're not. They're fine. They're good. Honestly.
Oh, come on. So if you take
I'm being real.
I like his analogy about MLB, but think of it like something not like so mainstream as that. Think of it like snowboarding, right? Or something else like video gaming, right?
Okay.
So there's live streams of all the matches and duels and whatever they are. right, for League of Legends, all throughout the tournaments and everything. But the grand finale is broadcast on ESPN, right?
Okay.
So that'd be kind of like USPSA live streaming area matches, the squads that they're near or on, and then Shooting USA broadcasting the Nationals coverage.
Okay.
Albeit briefly, but they do.
So
In the end,
about it?
Oh, God, sorry.
More is always better, I think.
Is it though?
It can be, yeah.
So what is more to you?
It has to be done the right way, though.
Because I think that the organization is big enough that you look at it like this should be a bigger deal. There should be more coverage. But if you think about it in terms of what it would take to make that happen, it doesn't make sense to have USPSA be driving it centrally and paying for it. You know what I mean? And well, what does it cost to? Okay, so we're going to cover all the area matches, right?
Yeah.
So that's the deal. Okay, so we're going to hire somebody and send them to all the area matches. Fair enough.
That
right?
doesn't seem that much.
Well, it'd be $3,000 a match, probably.
Okay.
If you hire a professional and send them there, that's $3,000 a match. That maybe that guy does a good job, maybe not. I don't know. But the thing is, it's already that the technology is almost to where people are handling this themselves. Almost. Like the live streaming stuff to Facebook, that's Facebook's innovation. If you have a phone, you can just stand there and stream stuff. And things
so why not?
Coming to the point where there's no point in centrally organizing who is live streaming the shit because there's so many people doing it already. Why would USPSA pay people to do it? They could just kind of on a soft way encourage it or maybe facilitate it by making it easy to find people doing that at particular matches, but they don't have to do it. There's enough people to do it in a decentralized fashion. It makes no sense.
Or Ben, you're saying, why would you pay money for a billboard when
it's not
just
money? It's the hassle. I think there's too much bullshit on USPSA's plate as it is now.
Okay, well, money aside, a word of mouth advertising is way better than any billboard anyway. So having all your homeboys posting their videos, hey, I shoot USPSA, I really enjoy this. You should come check it out. That's better advertising than non-shooters on a billboard anyway.
At anybody's social media feed, they're annoyed with it. There's all people post about us is bullshit. So I mean, that's just my read on it. I think to centrally organize it just doesn't make sense given the size of the organization and the expenses that would be involved, and it's getting so much easier. The technology is sorting this out now. So
think how many ads they could sell on all the live videos.
There's no value in them. I mean, if you sell ads, it's to who the fuck is buying front side ads? Have you seen their their rate sheets for that? My God, I don't know who pays full freight for those ads. I suspect nobody, but whatever.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. Just what? Who would pay this? This is insane. All right. One more question this guy has. On a similar note to the above question, should USPSA be holding more than one major match every year and be more selective with who can attend nationals? I think the sport would have more legitimacy. That match bestows the title of national champion, that's in quotation marks, had a barrier for entry that kept idiots like me from competing in the same match. What do you say, guys?
No, anyone should be able to. I like the process quite well for nationals. So
you have to gate it right now.
I'm sorry?
There's not really a reason to gate it because the matches,
they don't sell out.
Yeah, they still can get into it.
No, if it was selling out, it'd be a different problem. And I like the fact that, hey, maybe you're in B or C class, but you want to see what a national event's like or what the top shooters are like. So if you want to go and experience that and maybe you meet some of the people that you've seen on Instagram or whatever, that's cool. So I like that a lot. And then I don't think USPSA needs to add any more matches because I would make the argument I'm thinking if I was in that spot and I had to fly all over the country every month and hold this major event and organize it, and that's a lot of work to do. So,
well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So that sounds cool. What do you think, Mr. Kim? You've been quiet.
I really like Joel's opinion. I agree with it, and I happen to live less than 30 minutes from headquarters, so I sometimes visit and chit chat sometimes. But going to Florida, especially from Washington State, it's pretty much like going to another country.
It's like a 6-hour flight, right?
Yes. and like 2 hours, 3 hours drive from Tampa too. So, like when I go to Florida for nationals, I see the staffs I meet at the headquarters in Washington State, and like when I look at them, I mean they're not even there to shoot. Some of them actually shoots, but some of the staff don't shoot too. And dealing with the Florida Heat, when I look at them, I think they're doing a really good job hosting nationals already. And I don't think if they want to do more matches like that, actually travel from Washington State to other states, I don't think it's going to be very beneficial for their mental health either. And I don't see a reason to add more matches that's governed by the headquarters.
Yeah. Well, on that note, guys, another bang up podcast, right, Joel?
I was getting ready to say it. You beat me to the punch. Yeah. Well, listeners, if you have any questions you want to ask, go to my website, bensteger.com. Send me your question. We'd love to hear